start by telling us your name and spell it for us.
My name's Dana Rigner, DANA-REIGNER.
And Dana, tell us about what happened to you when you got sick.
Last summer I had a fever for about a week, and then one morning, a Saturday morning, I just couldn't move my arm. So I went to the nearest emergency room, and then it like escalated from there. Like I couldn't move my right leg within like an hour. And
hold on a second. I mean, literally, as soon as we started the camera, whatever that is, started.
I think the lawnmower.
Yeah, we'll just have to go with it.
Okay.
Filtering it
You
out.
all right? Yeah.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
It's not a bad thing for us, but if you'd like us to, I don't even know any good jokes. Can I joke? Are you the sort that can kind of work your way through it?
Yeah, sorry, I just like
It's got to be hard.
I haven't talked about it in a while, so.
I can't have my glasses on. All ready to go, Dave? Now that is the cooling system. That's not going to go away.
Now let's just keep going.
Okay.
Dana, tell us what happened when you got sick.
So it started out as like I couldn't move my right arm, and then within like an hour I couldn't move my right leg. So I went to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and I got like 2 brain surgeries and went through rigorous like physical therapy and occupational therapy. And then I finally got discharged, and I'm going to school.
And you're going to school?
Yes.
That's great. Tell me.
Just pause a second. I'm going to put a windscreen on. Noise. Top of all the other noise. Okay.
So you got sick and you got progressively unable to move your side.
Yes.
When you were in the hospital, where were you? Were you in intensive care or what?
I was in intensive care for 18 days, and 14 of those days I was on a ventilator. And then after the 18 days, I went to the neurology floor to finish just the treatment, and then I went to Seashore House, which is the okay.
Yeah, we won't talk about names
Okay.
of places. Okay, just say you went to rehab.
I went to rehab.
Okay, so after you were in intensive care for all of those days and on the ventilator, then where did you go?
I went to the neurology floor and then to rehab.
Take us back to when you went to rehab. You were leaving acute care, going to rehab.
Right.
What could you do for yourself and what could you not do at that point?
I really couldn't do a lot.
When I went to rehab.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
When I went to rehab, I really couldn't do a lot. I couldn't sit up by myself. Oh.
You are doing so well. I mean, I'm sitting here, sorry. I'm just sitting there thinking, I have you in class now. Sitting up is like the furthest thing from my mind when I see you in class. So
Yeah.
So when you went to rehab, you couldn't sit up. What else were you not able to do when you went to rehab?
When I went to rehab, I wasn't able to do basically anything. I couldn't care for myself. I couldn't get changed. I could brush my teeth, but that's about it.
How about, were you able to talk or anything?
I was able to talk, but it was much slower speech, and I would often mix up my words. And just not be able to form words.
Can you kind of take us back to that day you went to rehab? What were you thinking and feeling at the time?
When I went to rehab, I had become so close to all the nurses. So I was like, I don't want to go to rehab. But once I got there, I just loved it.
You say you got close to the nurses.
Yes.
What was it like being with therapists? I mean, did you get close to them? What was your rehab experience like?
I really loved my rehab experience. I just really loved. I loved my therapists. I loved all of the nurses, the doctors, everybody who was involved. I loved them.
What was it about how they treated you that really just resonated with your soul?
I think I loved my experience because they treated me as an adult, a peer, because most of them were younger and like out of college, and so they treated me like a young adult, like a peer, rather than a baby. But it was really good.
Talk about after something so traumatic happened to you. I mean, you certainly didn't expect it. What was hope like for you? Did you have it? Did you have to find it somewhere? Talk about hope.
Well, when I first when I first had my injury and I got sick, I didn't know what was happening. I just, when I got my senses together, I just thought this was normal. This was my life, basically. And, like, I never really lost hope. And, I mean, there are those days that I'd be, why did this happen to me? But otherwise, I just kept on doing what I had to do.
The place that we're doing this video for in Florida is a big medical center, but they don't have a rehab unit.
Right.
And talk about how you felt having your family close. You had your acute care and your rehab all close to your home. Talk about how that mattered to you, having your family close.
Having my family close was a very big positive thing. My parents and brother were there for me all the time, and like my mom stayed with me. Can I get a tissue?
Yes.
Sorry, I have some.
I have one.
Okay.
A little more accessible here.
Thank you.
There's all sorts of other stuff in here, like business cards. You don't want that.
Okay.
So, here, you can have them.
Okay, wait.
So how important was it to have your family close as you went through this big ordeal?
It was very important to me. My dad, my brother, my mom were always there for me. My mom actually had stayed with me in the hospital for 4 months. And it was really great because all my extended family, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, my grandma, they'd always come over, and just seeing them brightened my day.
Well, I bet that really kept your hopes up. You're doing great. Except for the helicopter, you can tell them to come later.
Exactly. What are you gonna do? I used to have an automatic car starter.
Okay.
Oh, you did?
Tell me one of your favorite, funniest stories of something that happened in rehab.
Oh my gosh,
I used to have an automatic car starter.
I don't even know.
Really screwed up.
I really don't. There's too many. All the therapists will play jokes on each other, and my family, we would have parties in the hospital, and there's too many to even decide.
What kept you going day by day?
Um, to go back to school really kept me going, and I just wanted to start school. I wanted to start college. I'm a big nerd. I like to learn, so, and that really just was a goal for me. And to be physically active again. I mean, I was so physically active. I was running, I was playing volleyball, and to have that taken away from you is just really hard.
Tell me what college life has been like.
College life has been good. I made a lot of really good friends, and living on campus is good, and my classes are all good. I love all my classes. And everything's good. The food could be better, but.
And how about, are you getting back to exercising at all? I know you're in therapy, but you know, you're talking about the other sports that you like. What are you doing exercise-wise for yourself?
I just try to go to the gym as often as I can. I usually just go on the treadmill, and if somebody's with me, I'll go on the bike just because I have to have them help me. But otherwise, I try to go to the gym as much as I can.
And do you know yet what you want to study in college, what you want to major in?
I want to major in chemistry.
And do what?
I'm going to try and do pharmaceuticals, either work for a pharmaceutical company or just do lab work researching pharmaceuticals.
I noticed that you write with your left hand.
Yes.
And you were right-handed. Talk about what it was like to have to change the hand that you write with.
It wasn't as
Yeah, kind of set that up
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
for us.
So what was it like to have to go from being a right-handed writer to a left-handed writer?
Going from a right-handed writer to a left-handed writer wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. So that's a bonus, but it was definitely harder. I mean, when I first started writing with my left hand, it was very slow, it was very sloppy, and the letters were so big. I was just basically writing like a kindergartner.
And now, how well can you move your right hand? Can you show me how you move your right hand?
I can move my right hand better than, so I can extend, and then kind of. That's basically all that I can do. Besides, the extension's really going well.
That looks good. Tell me what you're working on in outpatient therapy now with your right arm.
In outpatient therapy with my right arm, I'm mainly trying to use it more. I also have a hand device that will help me open and close my hand and train it, just strength training.
And how about, are you getting any kind of injections that are helping with your arm?
I'm getting Botox injections that are helping with my arm.
What's the difference between before and now with the Botox?
With the Botox injections, I've been able to open and close my hand better, and I don't know what I'm trying to look for. My hand also feels more loose after the Botox injections.
And you were telling me earlier, how are you using that hand to help you with things? The iPad is what I'm thinking of, but how are you using what you've gained to put into sort of your daily life?
With my right hand in daily life, I try to use it as much as possible. So I'll open cabinets with my right hand, close doors. With my iPad, I'll try to swipe pages as best as I can. And with the computer, I'll hit like the down key when I'm scrolling through a web page. And I'll hold an object and try and open the bottle or rip a paper and open packages.
And so who taught you to do all that, or did you just come up with that on your own?
Early stages in occupational therapy, I was what's what I'm looking for. Trying to think of the word.
Compensating? Is that what you're looking for?
No, I was like not like suggested to do, but okay, what was the question again?
I forget.
Wait.
Like who taught you to
Right.
do all these things sort of every day with your hand, or did you just come up with that on your own?
The therapists really had stressed for me to use my right hand as much as possible, even in the early stages. So I had come up with ways to use my right hand by myself, but also with the occupational therapist in mind, what they would suggest to do.
Let's see. When you were discharged from rehab, take us back to that day. What was that like? It could be you're excited and you're afraid. It could be all sorts of emotions. So when you finished your rehab, what was that like for you to go back home?
It was nice. Spending 4 months in the hospital can get a little tiring, and I was just so glad to be back home. I mean, I wanted to be in college at that point, at school, but I'll take it at home any day over being in the hospital.
And when you went home, tell us what you were able to do for yourself, the things that were different from when you left the hospital. What could you do? What was still problematic?
Well, we have, at home, I could go up the steps, wash my hair, wash my face, take care of myself. As to when I was first in the hospital, I couldn't do those things. And I could start to make food for myself when I couldn't do that in the hospital. They wouldn't let you do that in the hospital, so.
And how about walking? Were you using a walker or a cane, or what was the difference between when you went to rehab and when you left rehab?
When I left rehab, I was using a cane, but during rehab, I was mainly in a wheelchair.
Do you use a wheelchair at all now?
I do not use a wheelchair at all now.
It hasn't been all that long, but is there anything you've sort of learned about yourself throughout this whole process? Any ways you've matured because of some of the things you've been through?
Trying to think. I would say throughout this whole experience that I'm much more stronger than I thought. Not just physically, but emotionally, even though I'm crying now. And I've always been an optimistic person, but not for myself, in the situation of myself, but in the situation of others. So it like really put my optimism to a test.
If you could talk to somebody who's at the beginning stages of going through what you've been through, what would you say to them now?
If a person was going through the beginning stages, and if I could talk to them, I would just say, don't give up, don't give up. Because that has to be your main driving force to get back to normal, to live life like you want to do, and just set goals for yourself.
So what are your big goals right now for the next, say, 6 months? What are your big goals for the next 6 months?
To get rid of my goals for the next 6 months are to get rid of my leg brace and to try and get better control of my hand and arm.
You got questions?
Well, I guess just maybe one related to your rehab was local.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Have her comment about what if that had been, her family would have been detached from her.
Yeah, we did that a little bit, but we could try that again.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we
I've
did.
been thinking so much about the lighting changing and
Oh, okay,
the
okay.
audio, so I really haven't listened. So
Yeah.
like,
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you talked like about your family being there and the
Right.
difference that made. Because that's one of the big things that Florida is looking for. You know, now
Right.
people have to go an hour away for rehab.
Right.
Maybe I'll set it up that way.
yeah, I mean, get her to comment about what if that hadn't been
Yeah.
the case,
Yeah.
what that would have been
Yeah.
like.
And we have like 8 minutes or so.
Yeah, we should, maybe this should be it, so we have time to get back over there. Okay.
So what difference would it have made to you if you had to go an hour away for rehab? What would that have done for you and your family?
If I had to go to rehab an hour away, especially from my family, I think that would have had a negative effect on my rehab because I obviously wouldn't be as close physically to my family, and they really pulled through for me, and were there for everything, every procedure, every treatment. They were there. So if I was away from them, farther, an hour away, I just don't know if I could have done it.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good.
Have you learned any big life lessons by what you've gone through over the last year or two?
Over the past year, I have learned that don't take things for granted, and especially movement of any kind, and to live life in the moment, because you just don't know what's going to happen.
You're doing so great. It's such a pleasure to listen to you talk about it. Thank you.
Yeah, just look here at me, Dana. Okay?
I need to tell you a joke or something.